I mean, we have more examples from this manual, from this book
Yeah,
from
it's
agronomy.
quite clear that they had a like a style. As I say, it doesn't completely answer. See the where the bands that go over the horse's back meet the horizontal bands. See, there are little cutouts, like little
Yeah.
triangular cutouts, and I think that's the artist is looking at something in real time. That's a real thing. I'd like to point out too those short sleeve, somewhat short coats
Oh,
that
yeah.
are being worn by the horsemen are almost certainly male stitched inside a padded coat. So
Mm,
you've got two layers of padding, and the male is in the middle, and it's stitched through.
yeah.
Um, and at the end of the campaign, the whole thing was probably taken apart. The male was given a clean. The coats were possibly washed. I mean, more nomadic people weren't so worried about washing things because in the cold, dry steppe, things you just got used to the smell after a while. Um, but yeah, see, the other thing that gets me looking at them, the horses are shown moving fast.
Yeah.
So the armor isn't an impediment. They're not galloping along.
Yeah.
Again, this is artistic depiction. So it's not what they really saw, it's what their audience wanted to see to suggest something to them.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
not always possible to work out what's real and what's not.
Now, Pete, look at this example. The examples, I'm sorry. The one in the middle, they get a bit more complicated. Do you see that?
Yes, smaller, narrower bands, which
Yes.
usually means more expensive armor. Notice that again, we've got one of those black brigandines in the background.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes, see if you got up really close to this painting, like at a microscopic level, and looked at the brush strokes, that black background may not be fabric. That may have been painted mail that's completely oxidized.
Yes, could be.
But
Absolutely.
we can't tell because they're wearing black boots, and the black boots are done with black paint. They didn't paint them silver and wait for them to oxidize. They had black paints. Their biggest problem, I think, is some of the greens they used were produced with copper sulfates or something, and it was like verdigris, and it would eat completely through the paper. So several hundred years later, instead of this brilliant green coat, you had this cutout. That's not unknown. It may depend on the type of paper used to how
Yes.
sensitive it was. Again, uh, you see the horses' heads are quite erect, but if you look at it if you imagine it from the front, the horse's chamfron would still be projecting most of its neck because its head would be in the way of anything coming directly from the front.
Do you know
Um,
this scene is so dramatic because this gentleman who is, hugging his horse because he definitely doesn't want to be unhorsed is being attacked by
yeah,
a mace, by a lance, and possibly
yeah,
also by an arrow. And poor man, right? Look at this.
yeah. Yeah, this you're right. This is really dynamic. Of course, we've got to take into account the extended posture of the horses was used from the time of the Scythians until the
Yeah.
mid 19th century all over the world, because before photography, nobody knew what horses' feet were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were moving very fast and you were generally too far away. Um, so photography changed how we paint horses. But this was the standard. They call it the flying gallop because the horse is suspended in the air. This was the standard way of painting horses at full gallop. And it's interesting when you look at it, going across the people, the horse archer on the left, his reins are around the pommel of his saddle, so he's riding without his reins. The man who's being hit by the mace, his reins are also around the pommel of his saddle, and he's using both arms to hug the horse's neck so he doesn't fall
Yeah.
off. The man above with the black um, brigandine, he's using a sword and shield probably.
Yeah.
His reins are on the pommel of his saddle. The man using the mace doesn't have a shield, so it's got a free hand and he's holding his reins. the man using, I think it's a sword behind him in the yellowish
Yeah.
kaftan. He also is holding his reins. The man using the lance, he's using both hands so the reins are attached to the saddle. It's really important for us to remember that this was in battle really standard. Your horse was trained. You didn't worry about where it's going to go. I mean, people, particularly people that have had a lot of experience of dressage and things like that, where you have very fine control of your horse, think that you steered your horse a lot with your legs, but have a look at all that armor. Your horse couldn't feel your legs. I mean, you were doing it by balance and the reins. And if you're swinging a sword or a lance, then
Dude,
you
look at
don't
this
have.
one. Again, he's hugging his horse. Look now, I didn't realize it
Yeah,
before.
I think has he just dropped his sword, or is it? Oh no, it's hanging from his wrist by the wrist strap on the sword. Now that's a good example of that. You don't see that every time. This is a
Ah,
really
you're
strange.
right here.
Yeah, you can see the little knot at the top.
Yeah, here. You don't
What's
see it.
really
No, that's
What's
right.
really interesting about this is all the people in this are right-handed, but they all have their quivers on the left hand on the right on the left-hand side, which is not the side you would normally wear your quivers. But the artist decided that quivers are much more interesting than bow cases, so I'm going to put them there.
This is
But on the
unbelievable.
other hand, there are a lot of realistic things in this.
And the
Um,
horse armor, again, we see the same pattern, right? We have seen before.
yeah, this is a consistent pattern, and it's also consistent that when you have a different one, it's usually one, and it's that black and black kind of brigandine, which, as I say, can't be really sure what it's really meant to be.
Look at this. We
The
have a close
central,
up again. Yeah,
yeah.
very interesting.
So you can see they've got a kind of herringbone pattern to show male, which if they wanted to show male on a horse, they could do that, but they clearly didn't think that was what was really happening. Um, the
Beautiful. And look at this
there
one.
was
Oh,
obviously,
we come to these ones. These are very
oh yeah,
interesting. The rat one is
see,
interesting. Pete, do you
yeah,
see these plates?
that really looks like it's made from bands of plates that are sewn to the next band. So it's like what I call self-suspended mail, like a self-suspended scale. It's really hard. It's quite late here. It's really hard to say. So you've got rows of scales
Yeah.
that are directly laced to the scale above it, but they're not like lamella where there's movement. They're actually physically attached. And see, it's really clear in this painting, but there are a lot of other things in this painting that show a real concentration on detail. The principal mace wielder in the center has mail with bands,
Yeah.
uh, which is probably just different colored rings, but it could actually represent bands of gilded um, flat scales.
And
Um,
his horse, look at the horse armor.
yeah, that looks as though it's fully. I think it's a stylized form of mail, to be honest. I originally thought it was meant to be scales, but at this period, no, I don't think so. So this might be one of our rare fully male
That's
Bardis.
what we were looking for in the beginning of this
Yeah, see,
discussion.
see that kind of pattern. See, for his male, they're using a herringbone, but they might be trying to indicate that it's bigger rings. But it could be meant just to be a scale armor because they knew how to make them. It's very hard to tell. Um, some of these paintings would benefit from an expert with a really good microscope going over them every square millimeter to find out what's going on because the artist had to paint this with a brush so
Yes.
that there are technical restrictions on what they can do, but there also might be acceptable shortcuts to depict things like the male. I mean, male's not chevron pattern, but you could get that feeling if you looked at it occasionally. So it's quite well thought out.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah, see that looks like it's meant to be semicircular scales
Yeah.
facing upwards or facing to the side,
Yeah.
which maybe meant to be scale armor. There is a type of Indian leather horse barding where they have connected strips with scale scallops on the
Right.
bottom of the strips, and they overlap each other, which makes it look like really dense scale armor. So it
Mm.
could be something like that too. Oh, yes.
Again, we see the
Okay.
same pattern, right? Not the
Yeah.
one before, but what we had seen
But
before.
isn't it interesting that it's nearly always the guy on the extreme left that has the black armor on
Yeah,
his horse?
yeah,
This might be meant to say these people used a different type of armor than we
yeah,
did,
that's right.
because he's clearly, if you're getting killed, you're the bad guy, unless it's part of the Shah Nama where almost everybody gets killed at one stage or another. So it's not a judgment; it's just
Okay,
life.
just one thing to
Uh,
mention that Khavaraname, which is also written in Persian, is actually Shahnameh, but the main character of it is not Rostam, but is Hazrat Ali.
of course, yeah. This is the
This is the
yeah,
transfer
yeah,
of
yeah. This is
ancient Iran into Shiite belief in Iran.
yeah,
That's why
yeah.
it's very
Well,
interesting.
it's
Yes, yes,
well,
Ex-
it makes perfect sense that you would
yes,
do that when you've got this strong culture of heroic battles
yes,
and you've got this hero
yes,
and using the same structures to tell his story makes perfect sense
yes,
because it has two advantages. One, you don't have to invent everything, and the other one is your audience is already familiar
yes. Already
with the
familiar.
structure, and
Yeah,
therefore it'll make more sense to them more
yes,
quickly. It's a good
already.
idea.
And this guy is being stabbed in his eye, right?
Yeah, this is don't look back. You notice again, this is interesting because the lance wielder
Yeah.
is holding his reins in his left hand and the lance at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
So this is yet another way to ride.
Yes. Uh,
Now, I was asked a question. I've got to get on to my friend who asked me the question about it. How long were lances? And using one of the Mameluke books, which is a 1400s translation into Turkish and summarization of earlier Abbasid and whatever um, military manuals, they specify that the average lance was 11 arshins long. So arshin is a zira, uh, like a cubit. That's a pretty long lance.
yeah.
And when you look at these, they're pretty long. Five
Unfortunately,
meters
I
or
didn't take pictures of them. I think we talked about it here. There are two existing lances from Safavid period, and I had them in my hands, even could hold them. They are 3.5 times taller than me.
that makes perfect sense. If you There's photographs from Jordan from the 1910s or 20s
Yeah.
of horsemen, and they're sitting on their horse with their lance, and the butt of the lance is on the ground, and the head of the lance is at least twice the mounted man's height.
Yeah. You see? Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so lances, we think in terms of short lances for close combat, but military lances were often really long.
No.
The thing is, they learnt how to change their grip to use them as a shorter weapon. They weren't limited just to one way of holding a lance. And
Yes.
you see this, the advantage of being able to use the lance two-handed, it's much easier to put the point on where you want it to go than it is if you've got it under your arm and you're
There
twirling it
is
around.
also, I think, I don't remember the name title, but it's in my library somewhere. It's in Persian, and it is a reprint, of course, of a Persian book on heroic deeds of Pahlavan during Zand period. And Zand warriors made fun of I don't know whom they were, of a tribe in Iran. And they said these guys are so weak. They only, instead of having real man lances, which are long, they use short spears.
Huh.
It just reminded
Yeah.
reminded me of this sentence, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we won't go into the whole my lance is bigger than your lance stuff. You can see, yeah, there's a bit of toxic masculinity going on
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
But yeah, but it's interesting because lances were you don't see in paintings very often the horses being attacked,
Yeah, yeah, yes.
but when you read the archery manuals, it's
Mm,
quite clear that the horses were considered a viable target, mainly
yes.
because of the fact that if you if you
Yes.
incapacitate a person's horse,
Yes.
you've put him out of combat. I mean, you can just ride away. He can shout at you and wave his
Yes.
lance and take his sword out, but you just ride away from him
Yes. We
because he
talked
can't really
about this
follow it.
nature already, Pete. Do you remember in the beginning?
Yeah, yeah. So this is Hazrat Ali
Yes.
in the center on his mule.
Yes.
Um, and he doesn't, and the mule doesn't wear armor because, well, it's a magic mule, but uh,
Yes.
he being a holy person as well,
Yes.
he has certain advantages, I think, in battle. Everybody else is wearing armor on their horses,
Yes.
and to be sure, I'm pretty certain his overcoat, the short sleeve overcoat, probably is armored as well. It's probably
Yes.
got mail sewn inside it because that would be normal. It wasn't like in Syria where we've got the memoirs of Osama ibn Munqidh. He quite clearly talks not only about having mail in between padded fabric layers,
Mm.
but double shirts, like wearing a full length shirt of mail and then a kind of shorter, heavier one that only reached to his waist underneath it. And they're all sewn inside a padded garment. So he got into trouble with one of the Turkish commanders. He said, "Why aren't you ready? You're not wearing your armor." And he says, "Yes, I am," and got a knife and just cut into it. And there was all this mail inside.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that was a bit dramatic, but anyway. Um, so you see that. Again, we've got a good example. If they wanted to show mail on the horses in this, the reason you're pretty certain this is a different style of armor, the horseman striking through the shield is wearing a mail shirt.
Yes.
You can see the aventail of his helmet and the aventail of the helmet of the person he's fighting. They all have that herringbone pattern to show mail.
Yeah. That's right.
So this was at the time this was painted. That was clearly a standard way of showing mail,
Mm.
and it's not on the horse armor.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I'm pretty certain that's some kind of laminated armor.
Yeah. Very nice. And here you go again. You see the same patterns.
Yeah. Oh well, this is all from the same book, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So far, we are
Yeah.
only in Khabaranama. I will let
Yeah.
viewers know when we change.
And yeah, and the thing is, it's depicting particular armies that the artist saw. It's not like us in modern times going out and like a war artist going out and doing a painting showing exactly what they saw at the time with their impression of it and all that kind of stuff. This was we were sitting in the studio and we were comparing sometimes with sketches, sometimes just from memory. We're comparing what we saw and we're turning it into a painting that when somebody picks the book up and opens up, they say, "Oh, that's such and such armor. We remember that." It doesn't have to be perfectly accurate for the viewer who will fill in the blanks to know exactly what it is.
Yes.
I'm just looking, the archer in the bottom, at the bottom left-hand corner,
Mhm.
see the grip on the bow? It's one of the many grips that are in the books.
We are going,
Uh,
by the way, before I forget, I'm preparing it. We are going to have a video on, I'm going to have 100 pictures of Persian draws and grasp. So we are going to
yeah,
discuss about them because it is unbelievable that they show all grasps and all draws. We have, gone through those Persian archery manuals.
yeah, yeah. Oh, what gets me is that going back to the Safavid silver plates, you've got the grip where you've got the index finger curled,
Yeah.
which I never understood until I was shooting with some Mongolian archers who shoot on the left-hand side of the bow, and that is your arrow guide, and it works beautifully. They don't get any problems with um, feathers slashing their fingers or anything. Then you go, uh, 500 years later, and you've got Chung Ali Buzz, and you think it's the same kind of thing, but it's actually completely different.
Different.
It
Yes.
has a kind of superficial similarity,
Yes. Yes.
and it may even have descended from the other group. They may have actually, in Sasanian times, they may have already used that
Yes.
hawk's claw as a determination because they probably didn't. talk about, the grasp of Bahram when Bahram was alive or recently dead. That was probably something that a century or two later they said, "Oh, yeah, he always shot that way. Let's call it
Yes, that's called the Bahram.
Bahram's grasp."
Yes, yes, that's
And
true.
and the other thing is, you see, is again, grips on swords are often, the way they hold the sword is often quite precisely shown. It may not have been the most common way at the time, but they knew where the hand, like where the fingers went, where the
Yeah,
thumb went.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
so it's interesting, when you see those little details, which makes the bigger details
Oh,
stand out.
yes. We talked about this already. I just don't know. I keep placing this again and
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
This we talked about it. This brigandine, right? Yes, that's right. Now we have
yeah,
another
yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah. Potential brigandine. I think a lot of the short sleeved three-quarter coats probably were either brigandine. If you see rivets, they're almost certainly brigandine in regular patterns. If you don't see rivets, they're almost certainly male, enveloped in an inner and outer layer
Yes.
of cloth.
Pete, look
Because,
at this. Headbutting and biting at
oh
the
yeah,
same time.
yeah. Well, this is it. Yeah, we'll get a good bite in there. The horse that's being bitten is looking very, very upset.
Yes.
Like, why would you do something like that to me? But if you read like in the Shah Namar, in a lot of the literature, a man's horse was his companion,
Yes, yes.
and therefore
Always.
it had the same opinions that he had. So if this
Yes.
guy was a bad guy, it was going to bite him or bite his horse. And remember how Raksh fought off a leopard or something when
Yeah.
Rustam was sleeping. This
Yeah.
is this is kind of like part of the whole ethos.
Yes.
Now here we've got more clear indications of rivets in those bands.
Yeah. Absolutely. Here,
Um,
for example, the red
yeah,
one.
and the possibility was that they were in a lot more. But if it's just dabs of gold paint, yeah, over hundreds of years, people opening and closing, looking at the things, little bits of paint can flake off. I mean, there might have been more prominent. You can't say just looking at a painting 400 years afterwards
The
and say,
knocks
"Oh,
look
this."
like these modern knocks on arrows.
Oh yeah, well, that I was discussing with some. I bought some of the ones from the internet, and I think one of the people I know had some influence in the design. This is from AliExpress, and they're quite flared. I could get one and show you, and they look just like that. But as I pointed out, if you're a painter, and remember these figures are only about at the most 3 centimeters high,
Yeah, yeah.
and you've got to paint in knocks, you've got to make them visible to the
Yeah.
viewer.
Yes.
You exaggerate how big the knocks are, I think.
Yes.
Because I've been thinking about, because I tried it, like just pen and ink drawings. And if you draw the knocks at the size that you have in surviving arrows,
Yes.
they're almost invisible in a painting where the figures are only, that big.
Yes.
So I think this might have been how you solved that problem. Um,
Yeah. This one,
but
please, Pete.
the
This
wide
one is
knocks do work.
yes. Excuse. Yes, Pete. Look at this one again. A bit more
Yeah. Yeah,
intricate
there's more detail in it.
and detail.
See, it's impossible to tell if the black one is the same as the other ones because black on black, you can't see the lines.
Yes. I can't.
So I'm saying brigandine because it looks like a brigandine. But if you had like it cross slit with the light coming close to the surface, it might turn out that they were painted in bands as well. I don't think so, but it always got to be really careful about being too sure. Here's an unusual thing: a man using two hands on his sword.
No, it's also indicated that right about two-handed sword, two-handed
Oh yeah,
use.
I know, but it's unusual in miniature paintings.
Yeah, yeah. I have some of them,
Uh,
Beat. I have some of
yeah,
them.
yeah. Well, see, I think it's when we're talking about horse armor, we should bear in mind this is in the manuals on how to do this, but it's fairly rare in the paintings because it
Yes,
possibly
yes.
wasn't done as often,
No,
and
because
and that would then.
it is Beat. It is again back to that. Please, guys, because we had this discussion again. We talked about it. Do not compare Persian Shamshir to late European saber. This is a different thing, and they use it also
Yeah,
double-handed. It's overwritten about it. It's also shown. It was not that they stand. This one has to say that again and again, right?
yeah. And these shamsheers of this period, and you've talked about it, the blades are really solid. They're not meant for delicate strokes.
No, it's not meant for this type of thing.
But everybody they're fighting is wearing armor. You've got to have a solid sword blade. So
Yes,
they definitely develop techniques to take advantage of that.
yes. And again, horse armor beat. Look at this.
Yeah. See, this is really consistent that in this book, in this area, they had particular types of horse armor.
And
I
this
know for
time Hazrat Ali's mule.
he's wearing armor,
Yes,
though he's still riding a mule because look at the size of the ears compared to the horses.
yes, but armored. And he's Zulfaqar. You see that?
Ah, yes. Well, the mule seems quite happy to wear an armor.
Yes, finally.
Yeah.
Oh, look
And
at
we've
what
got
the mule is doing. I didn't realize it. Look what he has. Is it is it biting? No.
well, he's got it. Well, all the horses to some extent have their mouths open, which is showing how the bit's being used. But it does look as though it's getting because notice its ears are back,
Yeah.
and that's a good sign that a horse or a mule is thinking about taking a chunk out of you, or it's listening to what's going on behind it. I mean, yeah, I've seen horses more reasonably getting upset with other horses, not so much with us. And
Oh, look at these styles, beat. Very interesting. Look. Oh God, so interesting this one. Look how many different styles next to each other.
yeah, this is much more varied. And the like the two people on the center and left foreground are wearing a complicated armor which shows scales
Yeah.
on one, uh, but they're on different sides because they're fighting each other. So it's not just saying, oh, if you use this type of horse armor, you're on our side. Quite clearly, um, there were more elaborate types of horse armor.
Yes.
So it's funny when Ali had his horse or his mule armored, it was the same as everybody else in the army.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, uh, both the man's armor and the horse's armor are quite distinct from the rest of the army.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
but
interesting.
without the text, that might be for a special
Look at
reason.
this speed. We have a close up of this one.
Yeah, see, this is these could be scales
Hmm.
facing upwards. That's an unusual way to mount scales. It can be done, it can work, but it also could be embossed metal or embossed leather
Yeah, it could be.
because actually when you emboss scales on leather and have them facing up instead of facing down, it's actually more dramatic. It looks better, or it does to me. Um,
Embossed
but
in a
see,
sense like that Polish armor we saw and discussed about in Ukrainian museum.
yeah, because I mean embossing is well, first of all, it was well known in Iran. Metal embossing was extremely well known in Iran. We don't know as much about the leather, but with leather, there's a trick. You can make a mold just by carving a shape out of wood, wet your leather, press it into the mold, hammer it down, and then heat it up so that it dries, and that becomes integral to the leather. Nowadays, they do it with machines with hot metal plates that come down on the leather and emboss it. But they still do leather embossing like from molds in Mongolia today when they're making boots and various parts of saddles. So it's a quite an ancient technique. Looking at one painting though, you can't say which is which. I mean, I it just suggests something to me, but the painting might not have intended what I see. See, we have a oh, I remember us discussing these paintings in the past. I
Yeah.
remember the little figures on the bow cases. Um, but this is interesting. The horse, oh, of course, because the horse is dark brown. He's got black armor on. You can't see the fact that the throat is exposed unless you look really closely.
Yeah.
Because the colours fade in. It's much easier on the light-coloured horses or the light-coloured armor.
Yes.
Um, I like the fact. I know this is off topic. I like the fact he's got his shield almost up to the bridge of his nose, and they're all got their swords ready for a downward strike. And
Yes.
there are people on the ground, which
Yes.
is when that downward strike is going to be most efficient.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
خاورنامه. Now we move to the Safavid period, early Safavid period, Shahnameh Qavam or Qavam Shahnameh. This is from Reza Abbasi Museum, very beautiful museum. You see that here in Tehran.
well, this is interesting.
Qavam is very interesting as well, like Khavaranam.
Remember, I said that some horse armors had little holes to put your feet through.
Yeah,
There they are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. I see that here. Here,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Here, all
yeah,
actually, all,
yeah. They
all.
nearly all have it,
Yeah,
which is good. These armors, well, definitely the leftmost armor in the center is plate and mail.
yeah.
The rightmost armor in the center is plate and mail. The bottom right armor is plate and mail. The one
Mhm.
behind that, the yellow armor, is showing large rectangular sections.
Mhm.
Whether that's meant to be plates or not, it's hard to say. There's a blue armor in the top part, but a lot of those are very deliberately showing plate and mail armor. And that makes sense when you think early Safavid, um, there must have been a lot of this armor manufactured. I mean, the I was going to use the inappropriate word, the scale of manufacturing of these rectangular plates and I mean there's been a big mail industry in Iran since probably uh the late Parthian period.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would put it back at least to about 200 BCE.
Yeah.
And that went on continuously. The Mongol invasions, the Persians still had mail workshops, and they sold it to the Mongols as well. It was never as popular among the Mongols as other
Let me
armies,
see
so
if
it's
I have.
really practical for steppe
You
warriors.
see that bead? How beautiful Shahnameh Qavam is? They show
Oh
plate
yeah,
and mail, and then they show these big, let's say,
yeah, that
plates.
yeah, that
They
could
show
be
two types. No, three
yeah, that could
types.
be
That type as well. Look at this, please. The red
yeah.
one. Excuse
Oh
me.
yeah, the red's a fabric armor, maybe a brigandine.
Yeah.
The the uh the orange one and the yellow one may well be large plates joined by mail sewn into a fabric.
Yeah.
Um, you
Pete,
get
do
the
you
impression,
realize here there are more horsemen without a horse armor?
yeah, yeah. I'm guessing that the see, it's hard to say. Everybody's wearing large shalwar over their kaftans, so
Yeah.
that the kaftan is tucked. I mean, a kaftan is below knee length, but the shalwar have such big legs that it doesn't cause a problem. This is a they're all consistently dressed the same way, and it's only the musketeer on foot where he's got a shorter jacket over the shalwar
Yeah.
or shalwar.
Yeah.
I'm getting my languages mixed up here. Um, so that there's things in this that are I think quite important for a larger view of what the armor is, but they really like showing plate and mail bare. So this must have been a fashion at the time. The other armor, it's really interesting. I'd love to know what they mean to represent. I hope one day in a museum somewhere in Iran, they'll go into a back room and say, hell is this? Then, ah, that's what it is.
Pete, look at
But
this.
the
The
other thing is,
horse is cut on the back. The one which is unarmored.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I said it's strange that but you see the plate and mail armors are armored down the back of the neck, whereas the earlier types of armors weren't. And the plate and mail surviving armors, like in the Musée de l'Armée, also covered the back of the neck.
Yeah, no, they did.
And you can see why, because people were literally attacking the back of a horse's neck. Because once you've done that, the horse is his legs don't work anymore because you've severed the spine. And
Yeah,
it,
very
it,
interesting.
horses are really tough. It's very hard to kill them. And they also are very brave when they get excited.
Yes.
So I think if you really want to stop a horse, you've got to do something that really completely puts it out of
Pete, look at this.
commission. Yeah, that's interesting.
You see? So that type of, again, back to Ziga. Do you see Ziga? You said they are not present. So it was not only in Khavaraname. You can see it also here.
Yeah,
Later mail. You see?
yeah, but it's very well depicted here, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, the other thing is, even the plate and mail has a little panel removed so you can put your foot in.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Yeah, here. Here, here.
He's
Very
also
nice.
got a decorative breast strap, the orangey red breast strap,
Mhm.
which doesn't seem to be particularly functional, but it's probably got a good reason.
Very
You
nice.
notice again, this is a thing that you see a lot in Persian miniatures. He is physically standing in his saddle.
Yes, he
His,
is.
his rear end is, that far above the saddle. They've gone to the troubles that when you're doing this, you're way up here.
Pete, do you remember
And
in Adab al-Harb al-Shujaa, it says if you want to put strength behind your sword cuts, always push in your stirrups.
yep,
And if you're on foot, push your toes down into the ground.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see this. It's very dynamic
Yeah.
in the way that it's. You can imagine people at the time looking at this painting and that, yeah, we know what's going on there
Yes, exactly. They knew that. They knew that.
because it just stands out. Those saddles are interesting too. Safavid saddles, I really quite like.
Pete, look,
Again,
another example of those plate and mail on.
yeah, that's really well shown. Uh, I think the helmet manufacturer should be in trouble for that helmet on the ground there. Somebody's had their head split down the center.
Someone
Uh,
decided to write a Persian poem from Shahnameh on the rest of the horse.
yeah. Look at the more fabricy brigandine armor is the panels are laid out in the same way as for the plate and mail.
Mhm.
And again, the neck is protected, whereas it wasn't in those Timurid ones.
Yeah.
So obviously, people had either the horses were a bit slower and you could catch up with them and hit them, or maybe just a change in the style. And he's also